Welcome back to Student Hub Live. Well, this is going to be a really exciting session because I'm going to introduce you to some of our super colleagues from the library. Now, we were talking in our workshop about some of the things that people were really scared of. And one of the number one things that people said was referencing. Well, the library are the go-to people for this. They do all sorts of helpful things to support you in your referencing, but they also do lots more. So I am joined by Hossam, Kassem and Wendy Chalmers, who are both teaching librarians at the Open University, real live librarians. Welcome. And we'd like to know what you think about your expectations. So we've got a word cloud there. What do you expect from the OU Library? What resources or services are you already familiar with? If you are familiar with any, you don't have to be. And remember, with those word clouds, you need to put 3 things in the boxes. If you can't think of 3 actual things, just put a full stop in, otherwise they don't work. And also, have you already used the online library? So, Wendy, while people are filling in their expectations about the library, I wonder if you could maybe tell us a little bit about what people should expect from the library.
Hi. Well, the Open University Library gives you access to a wealth of resources. We do have a library building in Milton Keynes, a lovely library building, which if you live in the area, you can visit it and to study, use the study spaces, but unfortunately at the moment it's not open. But everything you need, all the library resources you need are available online. So we have reference collections, and that includes dictionaries, encyclopedias, subject-specific dictionaries, encyclopedias, which you would use if you came across a new topic and wanted some concise, factual information. So a really good alternative to Wikipedia. We have historical newspapers and lots of current newspapers, very useful for keeping up to date with current events and current attitudes on particular events. And we have currently over 400,000 books available in electronic format, which you can read online. So what else do we have? We have image collections, video collections, and many databases which contain journal articles. So scholarly articles about particular topics which you may be asked to use in your assignments or directed to. So how do you find all these exciting resources? I've mentioned there's collections of journal articles, reference sources. So what do you do if you want to find something on a particular topic? Well, a really good tool to use is Library Search. It's a really good starting point because it searches across a range of our databases, and it's a good time-saving device to find that information that you need. If you're looking for a subject-specific dictionary or database and you're not sure where to start, another place to go is selected resources for your study. So if you've already looked at the library website, you'll see there's a library resources tab. And in the Library Resources tab, if you look to the right, you'll see the different categories of resources that I've mentioned. Right at the top of that, you will see selected resources for your study. So if you use selected resources for your study, you'll see almost every subject that the university covers, you will find sources. So for example, if you go to history, you can drill down to early modern history, and then you'd find databases, ebooks and journals relevant to that particular topic. So these aren't all the resources, but they're a selection of key resources to get you started. So you can search the library for information, but your module material, you'll find that your module material will may often direct you to a library resource. So for instance, you might be given a link to an ebook chapter and asked to read that chapter, or a scholarly article, or one of our subject-specific encyclopedias. And as you progress through your studies, you will be expected to do more independent research, and you will find guidance in your modules, guidance provided by the library to help you use the library resources effectively. So don't worry, there'll be lots of guidance there to support you.
Brilliant. Well, 36% of our audience, Wendy, have already used the online library, which is fantastic because many of our
Yeah.
students here today are new starters. So that's absolutely wonderful. And it'd be interesting to hear as well. I know Wendy's been filling you in on what to expect. But HJ, any surprises there? Any feedback in terms of what Wendy's might said from people at home?
So in general, we're just having a look at the library training and everything that's available online. And there's so much stuff that we're getting to grips with at the moment. And I think the key point is that the library's always there and support for the library is always there as well. So if you're at the beginning of your module and you think there's so much there and so much to get a hang of, it's always going to be there. There's always training sessions and there's always brilliant and helpful people at the library. I know Diana said, I love the library. I've actually been to the campus as a student that lives near it, and any chance you get to visit is well worth it. So when everything opens back up again, I know a lot of people will be excited for that, but definitely join in on the online sessions that the library has, because I know myself they're extremely useful, and there's links that I've posted in the chat as well.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Now, one of our other questions was, have you already used either OU Harvard or Harvard Cite Them Right? So let's see what people at home had to say about that. The poll's just coming in, and it is 79% of people who have used neither. So, Hossam, that leads me to my question to you. How do we reference assignments?
First of all, you don't need to be worried about it. We are here to help you with it. The Open University uses the Harvard style. Many universities uses a version of this referencing style. At the moment at the OU, we are in a transition period, so you might come across two different styles. There's the OU Harvard style and the Cite Them Right Harvard style. The differences between them are very small and minute. However, because Cite Them Right is easier to use, we are rolling it out across modules over the next year. So your module might be already using Cite Them Right or might still be on the OU Harvard style. If your module says use use Cite Them Right Harvard style, then stick with that and follow the guidance. If you want more information, you can go to the library website for referencing and plagiarism. There is lots of information and guidance there. Now, if your module uses the older style, which is the OU Harvard style, you have two options. You can either stick with that and follow the guidance for the OU Harvard, or you have the option of using Cite Them Right. Check with your tutor, check what your module guide says or your assessment guide say. And if your module specifically say you should follow the OU Harvard, then do that, please. But always your tutors will be able to guide you through this. If you need any help, also the library is there to help you with that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Hossam. And we're going to play a video after this session, which is a Cite Them Right guide. So that will fill you all in. It can be a bit confusing, can't it, having these different referencing conventions? And I know that can worry some students, but it's very, very common. I mean, for example, in psychology, there are various different referencing conventions, all with minor deviations. But it's just one of those things in life that sometimes there are different referencing conventions for different journal articles. So even though it's minor, it's important to get them right, and it's a good skill to get the hang of, because it's relevant for later on, isn't it? Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the training sessions that we've got as well. Is there training for Cite Them Right, Hossam?
The library does run training session regularly on referencing in general, and we run the session to cover both the OU Harvard and Cite Them Right at the moment, because there is two sessions. So if you want to know when is the next session coming, you can go to the OU library, to the events and training section, and you will see when the next event is coming. If you can't wait and you want to use it right now, you can go to the session title, and there is a recording already there with subtitle and transcript to watch it right now.
Brilliant. I love that, Hossam. If you can't wait. Well, hopefully people will stay with us for a bit longer, but there may be some who can't wait. Wendy, what are some of the other sessions that you have in store for our new students who may be completely unfamiliar with an online library?
Well, there's lots of help and support available for our new students and for our continuing students who are continually developing their skills. So on the library's help and support page, first of all, lots of guidance on how to find resources for your assignment. And there's also a really good section called Getting Started with the Online Library. And that'll introduce you to some of the main resources that we've talked about, the database, the ebooks, etc. So lots of guidance there. And the online training sessions. Hossam's mentioned the session on referencing, and again, if you go to the training and events tab, on which you can access from the library homepage, you'll find a schedule of different sessions. So these include introduction to library services, smarter searching with library databases, assessing the quality of information, all really useful skills. And as Hossam mentioned, we run them regularly. There's a schedule available, pop into a live session or access the recordings at any time. So on top of that, to help students, there's a really good bank of skills activities called Being Digital. These are also open access, but they were created by the Open University Library. Short 10-minute activities that you can dip in to build up your skills, from evaluating information, finding information, using Google, etc. So pop into those and you should have the link available. But finally, and very importantly, I must mention the Library Help Desk. You can find details of the Library Help Desk on almost every library homepage, and we're here to support you in finding and accessing resources. So you can contact by email and web chat, and the web chat service runs 24/7. So if you are working at the weekend, burning them in that oil, please use the web chat if you need any information.
Brilliant. Thank you. We are really running out of time. It's always so much to pack in, and we haven't even shown a single study space yet. I must do that in the next session. But Hossam, I know that you are the accessibility lead for the library, and some students worry about this who have additional requirements. Very, very briefly, can you just mention how the library do cater for students who may use alternative formats?
Yes, so library materials used in modules, where we agree with module teams on embedding them, these have been tested for accessibility, and if they are found inaccessible, we convert them to make them accessible so they can be read with screen readers or with tapping using keyboard only. Also, we have a service called Census Access. It's a web-based service where someone, if you have a document, if you have a print disability and you want to convert a document into an accessible format, you can go into this service. It's on the library website under the support section, and you can just put in the document you want to convert, and from the other side, you will get, within 10-15 minutes, depending on the complexity of the document, you will get an accessible one. So you could convert it into MP4 or an accessible Word document. Just bear in mind that the quality of the outcome will depend hugely on the quality of what you are putting into it. This is really fast, and you can get a good quality document at the end of it fairly quickly. Also, ideally, we want every student to be an independent learner, but sometimes this might not be possible. So we have for our disabled students a service called Supported Search, where they come to us with the topic they want to search for. We will ask the department if they are happy for us to help the students, and then we will run the search for the students and give them the results to pick up something from it. And finally, we run a training session for disabled students. It can be benefit for everyone, but in particular disabled students, on some of the tools that you can use in order to improve your experience. So changing the background color, font, using Census Access, and some other stuff. This training session is available also on our library website under the training and events section.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Wendy and Hossam. You filled us in so much. Let's just finally look and see what people said when they were asked the question, what library services or resources are you most likely to use? So here again, we can see a massive range of different things, with books and articles coming first and foremost, but other amazing things like dictionaries and databases, lots and lots of different things. Music as well. There's a sound database, I know as well, ebooks. So there's plenty there as well for people to be able to access. But as you say, go and log on to those training sessions. Do familiarise yourself with the library. The website's great. It's
Absolutely.
really self-explanatory. And there's a chat service and lots and lots of different ways of getting in touch with the library 24 hours a day. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Wendy and Hossam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next section is going to be about I want a degree and I want it now. So this is really relevant for those of you who are studying multiple modules, and we're going to show you that Cite Them Right guide now. But stay tuned for that next session in just a minute.